Alright guys, it has been a full week since Immortal has dropped, and I figured that's enough time to get my thoughts and collect everything and all the information I have into one video. So here is my Lorna Immortal album review. So this is how this is going to work. We're going to go ahead and sit through every single song, and I'm going to listen to them with these bad boys, and after every time I listen to them, I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I felt like was important to speak about. The things I do like from the things I don't like, which, if I'm being very honest, not a lot of them. And I'm basically just going to refresh my mind with listen to the song before we talk about it, and then this is going to be my thoughts and feelings a week before. I'm sorry, like the day of, and then a week after, because I'm going to bring some things that I talked about, my first initial, and then obviously now. But yeah, guys, so without further ado, Immortal is first, so let's jump right into it. Okay, so let's start our album review with Immortal, obviously being the first track off the album Immortal. So this is a 6-minute long song and some odd seconds. So the first minute and the last minute of the song are all basically a lot of choir and cinematic stuff, especially the beginning. It is a super cinematic, theatrical build up into the actual song itself. It is just a killer display of choir slash whatever orchestra, whatever it may be. Just sick, slow build up until like literally a minute on the dot. CJ just starts howling at that record. It's literally insane. When it comes to instruments, besides actually the choir and all that good stuff, Austin has a really good ability of changing his tempo really well. He does a lot of mid-range stuff, and I mean by that like a decent pace, nothing too fast. And then during the breakdown, obviously he's going hard as shit, and especially at the end, he's just bailing on that double bass like he has no chill. So great work by Austin. He did a phenomenal job on the drums in the song and throughout the entire album as well. And when it comes to the guitar, I'm going to mention only Adam because I believe he was, I don't know if the bassist was a part of the recording process, so Adam did a really good job on this part because he was just going in. He has sick riffs. He had 2 solos in the song, not one, but 2. This man usually does one at least. There's a lot of songs in the albums he's put beforehand where it's just a riff or he obviously has nice riffs, but he likes to do solos. But he had 2 solos in the song. One's like halfway through, and then CJ kind of displays his vocals, and then what was that? And at the very last one, it's the that sick ass like obviously I can't display it as much as I'd like to, but he did a really good job of making that just the scenery, just that visual image of the music that was in my head, just made me like I was in like a battlefield. Like, like it was some serious ass shit. They did a really good job making this first song a really good basis or a really good structure for CJ to lay his vocals over. So let's talk about CJ's vocals itself. He doesn't do anything too snake-like, as I like to say, like Death Portrait and like or vocals and like Death Portrait at the very end, where he gets kind of like raspy and kind of like distorted to the point where you have no idea what the hell he's saying, even more so than usual, but in his higher tone. He had a lot. I feel like 90% of the song was mid-range vocals from CJ, going from a higher range mid-range vocal and then a lower mid-range vocal, which is completely fine. It matched the tempo of a song. He was laying these nasty ass vocals. It had a catchy feel to it, where you knew it was coming up. Like it had like kind of a chanty feel to it as well. Obviously, when the breakdowns came, he gave that really aggressive mass air compression vocal, where it's like very like growly, like he usually does. And then he had a lot of highs at the very end too. And I think my favorite part about this song is at the very end, where Adam has his last solo of a song leading out. The solo that I'm really into is that one 5 minutes exactly, because the rest of the song is legit outro, but that rip is a part of the outro. That like all that crap I was talking about is super impressive. Obviously, Austin going crazy on the drums to add to that, and then on top of that, CJ kind of leads us out with like kind of like a high range that's kind of like faded out as he keeps going higher and higher into that range. Super impressive. Overall, Immortal is a bomb-ass song and perfect for the introduction of this album. So what more do I have to say about Death Portrait? My favorite song off the album has to go to this song right here. It was released as their third single, and this song is probably the heaviest, fastest, maybe not fastest, but fastest, most experimental song that they have made. And when I talk about experimental, that was one of the things that they were trying to do with this album. And not what I mean by like changing the pace of it, but I'm just talking about like how many different vocalizations that CJ can do, how many different techniques they can put in a song, how many breakdowns they can put in a song. They did it for this song, and they kept that fastness, that aggressive feel that they love to carry on with their stuff, and this song shows. Death Portrait was supposed to be a single. I think it was supposed to come out way before, because I don't know, but due to Century Media issues, or the transition in between companies is what happened. But about the song itself, it starts off with this like the breathy, like right into the song. You just hear him take a deep breath, and he just was bailing out. CJ is going in hard as shit in this song. Literally a sick ass vocalization from him. He has lots of very different vocalizations. He has that breathy airflow mass manipulation where he's using like that like he's using his tongue right here to get that like that really like low sound he likes to do, as well as his mids. But some of the work that really like catches my eye is when he's doing the first breakdown, where he's like stopping and pausing, where both Austin, Adam, and Sage are kind of matching each other, like that dun 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 dun, like that breakdown where he's like kind of like, I don't know what he's saying off the top of my head, because obviously it's CJ and his vocalizations are very distorted, and that's a good thing. Even though I did look at the lyrical content, very interesting, I just couldn't tell you what it is off my head, but he's matching that pace, and he's very aggressive with it, and it makes it so complete. As well as the guitar riff that Adam has in the song, very impressive. The riff throughout the entire song is very catchy, and it very keeps you in that fast pace in mind, like this song is heavy as shit, the song is fast, but he also has a solo. My man loves putting solos in his song, so of course he had to put a solo in the song, and it's very catchy. Not long too after that, CJ hops right back into his section. He's going over the thing again. And then my favorite part of this song is towards the end. It's after that breakdown, after that solo by Adam. It's just when Austin literally goes ham on the double bass. And then Adam obviously goes hard on the guitars. And then CJ just holds a very low note through the entirety of the thing. It's like that dun dun dun. Obviously, I'm not going to scream right here, and that was a very bad representation, so don't flame me for that. But that's basically the concept that they were going for. Very, very long and drawn out, and super sick, especially with the tone he was going at. Insane. Definitely one of the faster songs, in my opinion. I couldn't even really give a really good explanation about the drums and the guitar because of how fast the song was going, besides the fact that this song is legit like Mach 7 speed, like faster than the Flash. Have you heard of Sonic? Yeah, they're beating Sonic on a race of how fast they're going. But yeah, literally one of my favorite songs. Death Portrait takes the first as my favorite song off this album. But yes, that is Death Portrait. All right, next is This Is Hell. This is the first single that Lorna Shore has premiered with the vocalist being CJ, and it has a very thematical essence to it as well. Start doing that almost like a violin, a very slow violin. And then obviously that carries out through the entire song. Then Adam and Austin go ahead and start doing their instruments, which is very, very, very heavy, because this song is heavy throughout. Like, they made a goal to make it heavy, and they accomplished it, because the first thing that happens is boom, 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 like, and everything starts going crazy. And what I mean by that is CJ literally hops on the track and goes hard with this very, very, like, witch-like highs. Very distorted in a way to where it sounds like it's hurting his voice. Probably not, though. And then, so he's literally going over lyrics like that. It's very high-pitched, very heavy, very inaudible. So you really can't tell what the hell he's saying, but some people like that. Personally, I enjoy that. And then at almost a minute, I think like 58 to 59 seconds, he does that really low breakdown where he's using lows. CJ uses he combines highs and lows in this song because a lot of the song is a high range due to the fact that I guess that was the way he wanted to approach the song. But this song is lots of fast. This album is a very fast album. I don't know why I keep saying fast because I tell you what, almost every song on this album is freaking fast as shit. But this song has something new to it, or it's something different. Obviously, this is the oldest song we've heard, but listen to it back and back and again. It kind of brings more perspective into it, especially since we've heard the entire album in its entirety. So it definitely fits its place, and it definitely follows that thematic theme that the album has taken. It's super heavy. The drums and the guitar work is super insane. I tell you what, though, the first time I did listen to it back in was it like November 2018? I think that's when the song came out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when the song came out. The guitar riff that Adam does, which is very impressive, by the way. Only the first time, reminded me of Funeral Moon, and it was very kind of like it had elements of the same. But I know that was just me like hearing from the first time. I'm sure they were similar in some regard during the solo, but I don't think he would have made that mistake of doing the exact same solo. And in fact, it's not. But there was definitely some parts that caught me off guard. Nowadays, I really can't hear it. But yeah, that was my first initial thought. But This Is Hell is probably one of the weaker songs for me, just because I feel like there was not a lot of variation when it comes to CJ's vocals. It was really high, really low. The song was good, and all the songs were great. I literally enjoy this album so much. The problem is I just don't think, or it's not even that I don't think, it just happens to be on the 10 songs that they have, This Is Hell is one of the ones that I wouldn't recommend. Like, if I were to recommend a song to a friend, I would probably recommend Death Portrait or Misery System or Immortal. This is just not one of those ones I would recommend, if that makes sense. So with that being said, This Is Hell is a very heavy, fast song, lots of highs and lows, and it's brutal as shit. Brutal as shit, 100%. Definitely will put you in your grave. It just happens to not be my favorite. So with that being said, guys, on to the next song. Okay, Hollow Sentence. What a interesting song. This is one, if you're going in order of the album, this is probably the first one you're going to notice the most difference from the previous Lorna Shore stuff. It has those elements of their experimenting that I was talking about when it comes to the instruments, not vocals. It starts with a very piano, fireworky type feel. The piano's playing, you hear some explosions, kind of like fireworks, that's how I described it. And this song has a very chanty feel from CJ. It's kind of like in the first 30 seconds, he's like, dun dun, dun dun, dun. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's very chanty at the very beginning, and he obviously goes in with a mid to low range, and then he carries that on for a long time. And he has a lot of variation in the song when it comes to his chantiness, to his fast-paced lows, to his screams, his highs. That like, he carries that witch-like scream throughout the entire album, I think. And then when the song slows down, which it does, which is interesting, he uses those really aggressive mid-air manipulation or mid-mouth. There's a term for it. He uses those lows to get really, really deep. But when it comes to instrumentals, Austin and Adam did a great job planning out this song. It obviously has this more experimental things with adding different techniques that you really haven't heard in a previous Lorna Shore single/album. You never heard piano to that extent. You never heard that chantiness to that extent. But they just do a great job of having that fast mid-range pace to the song towards not just super gnarly fast, which I'm sure they wanted to step away from because a lot of their songs are like that. But they wanted to have a lot of variety in their album, which they do. They did a really good job with that. But they had like really nice fast pace, mid-range pace, and they had like a really nice slow breakdown, where CJ uses this really nice low aggressive growls, and it really just shows. This song has I wouldn't say the most experimental stuff, but definitely is the start of the album where you're gonna notice the most. Whereas Immortal obviously had experimental stuff, but it set the scene. And it did a really good job setting the scene. and Death Portrait was really heavy, and This Is Hell also carried that through. But this one, just I feel like it has just something unique that you're going to hear more throughout the album, and it's the first time really going to hear it, really notice it. So with that being said, it was a really good transition into getting us ready and prepared for the rest of the album. So. Okay, the next one, Warpath of Disease. This song really is a headbanger, a slapper, put you in the grave type song. It starts out with a very to me, it reminds me of Skyrim. It reminds me of an amusement park, but specifically like a clown amusement park that has like clowns in it. Obviously, it just has that very old school 1950s. Carnival. Wow, it took me so long to get that. 1950s Carnival, as well as that choir sounding like it's from Skyrim, which is not a bad thing. I'm not trying to say it's a copy from Skyrim. It just happens to remind me of it just from the tone that the choir has. And then I think when it comes to the instrumentals, they did a great job of making this song very diverse, with obviously matching the pace for I meant that from the choir perspective. Obviously, that kind of sounded like a bitch, but that was quite interesting. But they made it sound very they matched that type of essence in a way. I'm sure that was added afterwards, but it just kind of fit very well. And then they had the song itself is very fast. It does have its slow moments, but the entire song is just the drums is so fast, literally insane. I don't really know how to describe without playing any music, and I'm trying to avoid any more copyrights from Lorna Shore. I'm sure I pissed them off enough with all the videos I've been uploading on them. But they did a great job. And when it comes to CJ's vocals, he did a really good job experimenting with the pace and where he's doing stuff. Because in the first few lines, he says Warpath of Disease, but he does it really drawn out. Warpath of Disease. Obviously, I'm kind of doing the same tone or the pace he would do it, but obviously in a scream-like fashion. He does a really good job of doing that. Makes it very interesting, kind of grabs your attention, and it's just brutal as shit. As well as the drums and the guitar just going in, it just hits so different. And then after that, the guitar is a little mini riff session that Adam's having. He's like that. Obviously, it kind of sounds a little different, but I'm trying my best to replicate all the sounds I can, as I've been doing the last couple of reactions or reviews. But after that, CJ just starts going in at a faster pace, where he's just talking or he's screaming really fast. Obviously, breakdowns gnarly as shit, super intense. Lyrical content is definitely improved. A lot of these lyrics that I've seen, because before the album came out, I could only preview what YouTube had to show, and a lot of times I didn't look at it or go over it. But as I'm listening to it before we do this recession, definitely intrigued more and more by the lyrical content by CJ. I know I made a video saying I enjoyed Tom's more, and as I do side with him, due to many factors, just him being my favorite, I'm definitely seeing a lot more creativity and definitely liking where CJ has gone with the lyrical content in this song. So yeah, Warpath of Disease is not a song to mess around with, literally a banger, but this song leads us into the next slapper, my second favorite song off this album, Misery System. All right, like I said last time, Misery System is shit. So powerful and so unexpected. This song has so many different turns from the backtracking of the song, from the instruments, from the actual vocals themselves, from the secondary vocals, which I really should have called backtracking, but the added elements in the back, like choir, white noise. This song starts off with a very ominous white noise sound, like that. It's a random ass noise that just is kind of spooky. It kind of makes you want to look behind you and be like, yo, is Michael Myers there? You have no idea if you rather get stabbed in the back. You don't know. And then this song just picks up right from there. Going in, CJ is doing his mid to highs. Nothing too impressive there. He's just kind of singing. Obviously it's impressive, but like nothing really, like it's just a standard song. Heavy as shit. The drums are amazing. The guitar work is catchy, especially catchy in this song. It just kind of uplifting, and then out of nowhere, CJ's like, fuck that. I'm making this shit heavy as shit, and starts using a very like that mid-air manipulation, or using like that very like aggressive low vocal, and he's just going hard. Usually vocalists like to do their lows for like breakdowns and slower parts, but he chose to do a low aggressive vocal with a faster part, and he's using it to his advantage because that shit kicked me out of this planet. If you go back to my reaction, plug. If you go and see what happened when I first reacted to that song, that shit made me smile with how heavy that shit was. Literally insane, by the way. Okay, but after the breakdown, the song kind of comes back. The song just kind of keeps chugging on. You know, the white noise is still chilling, and the drums and the guitar is still chilling. Obviously, they're picking those fast range. Like, this song is heavy as shit, fast as shit throughout the entirety of a song until the very end, but we'll get there soon. And CJ's mixing up his vocal range. He's starting to add this, and after his little breakdown with this heavy shit, he starts like speaking like he's on stage. He's like, "Yo, fuck this shit, fuck that shit," and I'm gonna start screaming some more, and then boom, and then it's just kind of just screaming like with his lows. Very descriptive, I know, but I'm just trying to give a very this is how I feel. This is what the song makes me feel like. And then the song kind of repeats itself, where the song is kind of like after he kind of goes in again, the chorus kind of repeats, and then after that part in the song, or after this kind of beat or the song resets almost, or like the same thing plays, you hear the second part of that part or the song that actually adds highs in the background. CJ is adding highs as he's singing it with his mid to low ranges. He's like adding highs that fade out, and it's super cool because it just brings the mood up. It gave me chill down my spine like several times. It's ASMR in this bitch. Really awesome the way he did that. Just the whole thing came together very well. And then after that, the song kind of takes a rap, and then there's like an aggressive pig squeal like vocal where it's just kind of like a ugh, but he does a pig squeal kind of sounds like, and that shit set me off. I was like, wow, what a song. And then after that, he has a section where he completely uses his highs to sing the song. I'm pretty sure it's the same lyrics, but he's using his highs instead of his mids and lows to continue it. And this song, it's just with the instruments and the guitars and the drums and that background noise. It literally sounds like a train's like chugging at you, and Michael Myers is on that train driving that bitch. It's kind of like, ugh. It makes you make that face like a thumbnail, like that ugh type of face, and it's all I ask for in music is to make me feel like that. And then at that point, the song slows down completely, and at this point, the song is almost over, and then it's just like this heavy ass like slow vocal. Just Adam and Austin slow down with their instruments. Obviously, that white noise is still chugging along. And then CJ just decides to use his low vocals to match that at that point. So he did use his low vocals for the slow part, but when he used it for his high parts, like, he gave me an idea in the studio, bro. I was like, shit, I need to use that. But yeah, so this song was my second favorite song, and I literally love this song to death. It's badass as shit. That's just all I gotta say about Misery System. All right, Obsession. This is a very kick-ass song, a song that I was kind of iffy about because in my opinion, it's the most experimental track on the album when it comes to the instruments. They took a very kind of a slower paced route, even though it's not slow. This song starts off with a very interface. It starts off just in the first 30 seconds, it's kind of just building, and then CJ starts picking in, and then Adam has a very interesting and uplifting high range guitar riff that he's going on with, and it's just kind of like a you know what I'm saying? That's the basic way I can describe it without getting copyrighted, because that sounds very similar to his riff. But CJ, what really was cool with him was he added his highs and lows vocals and overlapped them, but he matched that guitar riff almost to like the exact point. He was just, when the guitar riff went higher in the tone, he would match that with his vocals, and as well as his lows. So he would use lows and match it, and highs and match it, and it would sound really cool. And then he did that after he gets off that like rampage where he's using both vocals to go and match that sound. He uses his highs to go ahead and carry on with the rest of his lyrics. Not the entire song. He uses lows in this song for like the lower parts. He uses high ranges, which still sounds like a witch cry. But something very cool I noticed in this song was, and this is a very different technique that we've heard from CJ, at least in my experience, is in the very beginning of the song, he sounds like a metalcore vocalist, not from his own genre like deathcore or black metal. He sounds like he's using a very generic, which is, I'm not hating on, by the way, a very generic metalcore like scream. Like he sounds like he's in a metalcore band rather than a deathcore band. And obviously it's very short, it's very unique, and something I feel like really added to the song because it caught my attention, and it probably, whether or not you notice it or not, you were like, whoa, that's a little different. And then he obviously continues off. This song is very kind of catchy. The chorus repeats itself, and it has a lot of elements where it's just like a smacker. With how fast the drums are, it still felt very fast, but there's something about the song that felt different. Maybe it's the chorus and the chorus and how the guitar riff is, but that guitar riff, man, like that made the song in my opinion, as well as CJ matching the vocals, but because that vocalization is so cool. But that insane, the high pitched guitar riff literally sold me on the song. So Obsession is definitely, in my opinion, one of the most experimental songs, next to Hollow Sentence and Warpath of Disease, and probably in that order: Obsession, Hollow Sentence, and then Warpath of Disease. In that order is probably the most experimental in my opinion, but definitely interesting song, and I'm happy it's on the album. All right, King of Deception. It starts off with this badass guitar riff that draws your attention. It's kind of gnarly. It has that really rough sound that really just, like I said, draws your attention in. And then, CJ starts going in with his vocals, but it's kind of like they're not going too hard, because there's a part where in the very beginning where the beat drops, or they kind of pause and continue, where they're all just blasting. CJ uses a very forceful vocal range, and it sounds badass. Austin with his great guitar, and then drums. I know I was trying to say drums, but I said guitar. And then Adam with his guitar, and just the entire riff itself is so badass. And then CJ basically uses this very mid-low range. It's not like this aggressive mid-air manipulation that I keep mentioning in the entire video. It's like a lower range. There's not a lot of mids in this song, which makes it cool because this song is very like aggressive. It's a thumper, it's aggressive, and it's short too, so it's just kind of like a nice ride through the park, even though it's probably a bumpy ride. But the song has great vocals in it when it comes to instruments. Austin does a great job using his hi-hats and stuff like that at a very nice pace, a very slow, kind of like a mid-range pace too, but he likes to use his double bass to kind of like just give it like a beat to it that's consistently fast, which is insane how you can do slow up top and fast on the bottom. And then Adam has a very heroic guitar riff, like almost hitting the halfway point, if that makes sense. It makes you feel like you're Mario rescuing a princess or Princess Peach from the castle, only if it was a death metal game. But then the song basically kind of starts back up, where the guitar kind of scribbles a little bit. He's like, no, and then it continues back off. The song has that repeating aspect that Death Portrait had, which is very sick because Death Portrait was a slapper. It just kind of brought back that element where it's just like, yo, we're ready to start the shit again. Like, this is not done. And then towards the very end there, like 3/4 of the way, obviously the instruments are doing their thing. Very great, very fast paced. Not too much variation in them, which is my hating. I'm just saying this is kind of how it went. CJ uses his snake-like vocal. Why did I do that? I was just like, I don't know. He uses like a snake-like vocal where it's like a low/high. He's kind of like manipulating his voice in like a range, but he's using it and like at the very end that Death Portrait, using that very like aggressive snake. I don't know how to describe it. Like it's very like it's a different distorted tone of low and high, but he manipulates his probably his tongue and the mouth movements to make that high and low range sounds, which is super great. And then yeah, so King of Deception is a badass song. Definitely has a lot when it comes to just the variety of instruments it has. You know, the higher top or the slower top hats and that fast double bass, the kick-ass guitar riff with that punch in the face in the beginning of the song, especially with his lows, the repeating part in the song, and then CJ's crazy-ass snake-like vocals. So, badass song. All right, Darkest Spawn. This is the second single that Lorna Shore released from their album Immortal. And if I'm gonna put this out there, this is my least favorite song off the album. Now, least favorite meaning I like it. It's a good song. It has every right to be everyone's favorite song. For me, it just happens to be lowest on the list, right next to This Is Hell. I prefer This Is Hell over Darkest Spawn in my opinion. But the song itself, it has that, which I liked by this. I feel like Adam did a good job because I believe his guitar riff is actually the background for, or like the kind of like starting point for the song, whereas the Misery System had like in Darkest or Hollow Sentence had piano. Misery System had like an eerie white noise sound. This song had like a little like background guitar riff that kind of just continued through the entire song, which is super cool. I liked how Adam had a part in that background process, where I'm sure he had a part in all the backgrounds, but I just happened to think that those sounds were obviously not guitar sounds. This one happens to be a guitar, so I think that was cool. Drums. Austin did a good job of his but doing a crazy hella fast pace bass control or double bass control where he's just kind of reeling at that in sections, just kind of like a snap, like like he does that a couple times, and it's great. When it comes to vocal delivery, CJ changed the pace a lot. When it comes to This Is Hell, it was very high range and a little bit amounts of mid to low range, especially lows. There wasn't a lot of mids in that song, if at all. It was really inaudible, which, like I said, I enjoy, but he toned it back a lot and used mid to lows. This is where we heard him use mid to lows, and he really had a sense of audibility in his sound, which is cool and all, but I think his vocals suffered from that just because he wasn't. I feel like he wanted to maybe, I don't know if this is his mindset or not, but I think he wanted to make it. He wanted to come off more understandable, whereas because he was just going hard the entire time. And This Is Hell. At 1:30, there was this cool breakdown where he says go, and then the guitar is going off, a little mini riff, and Austin's going hard on the drums, literally does not stop. And the song kind of has a repeating chorus that I think that's why I don't like it as much. The chorus is kind of just there for me. It would have been different if it was like if the song like lyrically just never stopped, but it was just kind of like the chorus for me was just okay, and they repeated it, and that's why it's like okay. But the most interesting part of the song for me is when CJ is towards the end of the song, and I don't know why I said CJ because I was going to talk about Adam here, has a crazy ass badass a full solo riff where he's just enjoying himself doing his thing, super entertaining. And then CJ at the very end, as well as Austin and the whole gang, kind of mashed each other, but they slowed it down from that guitar riff, and then CJ really went hard on his aggressive low vocals, and they kind of had like this dun 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 type of like aggressive breakdown, like a mini breakdown of sorts. And I think just the way they carried that out was definitely interesting. I honestly think if this song would have been shorter, if they would have cut out at least one of the choruses, and like the song is fine, I just think it was kind of overdone. If they would have cut out one of the choruses, the song would have been bomb. But yeah, this Darkest Spawn was a good song. It used to be my favorite, but I think This Is Hell and Darkest Spawn flipped just because of the fact that I don't like the chorus or how much of the chorus in the song. Because the beginning is awesome, the end is badass. It's just the middle is kind of just like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you guys can let me know what you think in the beginning or in the very end here. But we're on the last song now, so let's get to it. All right, and Relentless Torment. This is the last song off of Immortal, and it is just as important as Immortal and the rest of the songs. But this song has the place of leading the album out and until the next. So this is the placeholder, and like I said, until the next song. So Relentless Torment is a very unique song, and it really captures the last song well. It was just a great spot for it. It was very theatrical, just as the other songs were. This one really towards the end really gets that theatrical sound, but this one just carries on with a very kind of like elegant piano noise almost, and then obviously the guitar and the drums are introduced, but the chorus is actually really introduced to us really early into the song, with CJ using his highs and lows overlapping each other to kind of give those Relentless Torment chants, and then keep going on to his chorus itself. The drums are extremely fast, and the guitar riff is insane. I'm not going to go into too much about describing them because I've already embarrassed myself enough as it is. But this song kind of just has a very catchy chorus that doesn't make you want to skip a song. Whereas Darkest Spawn, I could not say the same for that song. But halfway through the song, there is a really interesting part where I don't really know how to describe it, but CJ uses his vocal range to go from a low to a high, and he draws it out. And that's very impressive because obviously, you know, if you're a vocalist and you know how to do it, especially if you're an upcoming one, it can be challenging when you're not as experienced as the vocalist out there that's doing this every night. But it's just really cool to see from a low to a high, and he doesn't bring it back, but it kind of just fades out. But it's super cool, especially when the instruments behind it is super fast paced and super interesting to listen to. And the chorus then repeats, and then at like 3/4 of the song, like 2 minutes, like 50 seconds, I think, the song slows down completely, and then CJ has that role of kind of capturing that background vocal sound where he kind of just like chanting in the distance is what it sounds like. And the piano is playing nice and soft and kind of just pulling everyone's attention in, and the whole tune settles down a whole bunch. But don't worry though, because they're going to pull an Immortal at the very end of the song. They have that badass riff that's just super badass, and I just said that twice. It's super. It just brings you up off your feet and just makes you in a headbang. They do it again. End of Immortal was super edgy and like just so cool to listen to. End of Relentless Torment has the same kind of feel to it. So literally after a couple of minutes or close to like 55 seconds left in the song, they go ahead and start to pick up this badass riff that Adam has, and then Austin starts wailing at the drums faster than I can count. This man was just going hard as shit. And then CJ has that role of filling in those vocals, and he uses a lot of highs and has them fade away. Very similar to the mid-range point in that song, or the midpoint in that song, where I kind of expressed his mid to low, but it's very similar to Immortal in that respect. But yeah, that is Relentless Torment. But we're going to continue off here. I want to shout out everyone at Lorna Shore for obviously sticking through it. You guys have been through a lot since 2017 with going through a lot of vocal changes. Figuring out your whole sound, redoing yourself, rebuilding, and then obviously rebuilding again. So you guys are going through a lot, but this album just shows how much you guys are in the game. You guys have not left us, and this is my album of the year. I know we've been saying this a whole bunch, like, oh, this is gonna be the album of 2020, but this album literally slaps harder than an abusive grandmother. And I'm sorry for those I offended, but it's just like I'm trying to be funny. It just slaps so hard, so hard. It literally is insane. Every song, I saw a tweet by one of my buddies here that follows me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. He said he hasn't heard an album that he has enjoyed front to back, and I literally could not agree more. I just the entire journey of this album is an experience, and it's so different, and there's a lot of variations and variety in every song when it comes to vocals, instruments, the type of tracking they're using, the different thematic or cinematic thematic things they're doing in every song. It just varies, and it's so interesting, and it's amazing to dive into and get a piece of it. So hopefully this long ass video, by the way, was able to give you guys some perspective on how I at least interpret it, because it is literally one of my favorite albums of all time. It literally slaps, and I love Flesh Coffin to death, but honestly, Flesh Coffins, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like shit, man. So Austin, Adam, future vocalist, and then Andrew. I think it's your name. Great job, guys. You guys did an amazing job. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for sticking through it, and thank you for just keep on keeping on. And I'm excited to hear more stuff. Hopefully, you don't take 3 years to drop another album. But I told you that was a joke. That was a complete joke. I understand that there is issues that I do not know and I'm not aware of. That was the reason, the cause of that. But that was just poking fun. But with that being said, guys, that was my album review of Immortal. This hefty ass long ass video. So whoever stayed around, thank you very much. I'm doing a $10 gift card giveaway. I am joking. That was a joke. I am not doing shit like that. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you, everyone that stuck around. If you did stick around, comment Lorna Shore is badass. Just literally Lorna Shore is badass. Period. Lorna space Shore space is space badass. Period. Send. No more, no less. That's how I know you stuck through like a champ, and I love you. I love you. All right, peace out.